What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the two new upcoming packages, the next physical infrastructure package known as the American Jobs Plan, and the next stimulus package known as the American Families Plan, as well as what is going on in the world today. There is a big fight going on right now over unemployment benefits, as there's 25 Republican-run governor states that have opted out of the $300 per week unemployment bonus, but are now being challenged at a court of law. And this first case might show us whether or not these states are going to actually lose and have to pay these unemployment benefits of $300 per week and possibly extra weeks of unemployment extension. This actually could happen. But first, don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't yet so you don't miss out on new updates. We cover everything stimulus related here, the next stimulus package, stimulus provisions that you might not even know about that are becoming available now that could put hundreds or thousands of dollars in your pocket, like mortgage assistance, rental assistance, property tax assistance, utility assistance, state stimulus checks, county and city stimulus checks, as well as state stimulus programs, free internet programs. Yeah, we cover them all here on this channel, as well as the Social Security increases that there are proposals for, Medicare expansion to include additional Medicare benefits. We cover it all here for you. If it's something that could put money in your pocket, we'll cover it here on this channel. So also, if you can, hit the like button for us, and let's jump right in. Okay, first, Indiana is really the state to watch here because there's a lawsuit going on right now, and a judge ruled that they must continue pandemic unemployment benefits, the extra $300 per week bonus per week. That the judge has ruled that they cannot stop the $300 per week unemployment bonus, and they have to start paying it again, even though the Indiana governor has opted out of this. And I've kind of questioned this here over the last couple weeks too. If you've been listening to me, you know that I personally don't really think that these governors can opt out of this. Now, states do have their own legalities over their own state. They have some control, but this was passed from the third stimulus check package, and even all the way back from the first and second stimulus check package. They've basically extended it in the third stimulus check package. And when they pass something as a stimulus package or a bill in Congress, that means it's written into law. So really, these states are, in a sense, breaking the law. But the real question here is whether or not the governors have the authority to do that in their own state. And this is what is being challenged right now in these lawsuits. Now, what's interesting is it looks like Indiana is probably going to fight this case tooth and nail. The state is set to appeal the judge's ruling on restoring the $300 per week unemployment benefit bonus. As you can see here, Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb will appeal a ruling ordering Indiana to continue paying federal pandemic unemployment benefit bonus money. The ruling, which came down on Friday, means the state would have to keep offering the extra $300 per week bonus. A Marion Superior Court Judge John Haley's ruling called for the temporary immediate reinstatement of those unemployment benefits. It was not the final ruling in the case. It's kind of like a preliminary ruling, and the unemployment benefits would be restored at least until the final decision is reached. Although the Indiana governor is already appealing even this initial ruling. And this is really the state to watch, as we have several other states like Texas and Maryland that are also suing their governor over these unemployment benefits, saying that this is passed into law by the third stimulus check package and this is owed to their citizens. So it is really a question here. This first state, Indiana, might set the precedence for what is going to happen going forward. Now, it's not really a for sure thing that if they win or they lose on these unemployment benefits, either way, that all the other states will follow. But it is kind of like a most likely thing. So, for example, if Indiana is ruled that when the final ruling comes out that they do have to pay this $300 per week bonus money, and that would probably mean they'd have to pay back pay or retroactive pay for any weeks that were missed out. The most likely scenario there is that all the other states would probably end up having similar rulings. Not necessarily the case, but most likely the case, and vice versa. So if Indiana rules that they can opt out of the unemployment bonus, then it probably will happen to the other states. You could see one or two states defect and go the other way, or vice versa. But really, this first case here, this Indiana case, is the one to keep an eye on, because I think that if they end up ruling that the state does have to pay those unemployment bonus money of $300 per week, we're probably going to see retroactive pay as well. So any weeks that were missed out will end up getting paid retroactively. Let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comments. This is a huge battle. There's still millions of people on unemployment right now. And a lot of the complaints, especially I see these in the comments, is yeah, there's jobs available, but they're either low paying jobs, near minimum wage, or they're not even full time jobs. They're part time jobs. And for a lot of people, that would mean a huge, huge pay cut while they continue to look for work that is equivalent or similar to what they had before. The other question is, will you receive your unemployment tax refund? This is the $10,200 unemployment tax benefit that from the third stimulus check made it retroactive for any unemployment income last year in 2020 that was up to $10,200 would be tax free. Even if you made more than that, I think the average American last year who was on unemployment made $16,000. So, for example, if you made $16,000 in unemployment income, bonus income, and regular unemployment and unemployment bonus income is taxable. A stimulus check and the child tax credits are not taxable. In fact, the stimulus check is actually a advanced refundable tax credit. The child tax credits, I've been getting a lot of questions on this, are not taxable. They actually both have the same exact name, advanced refundable tax credits. A lot of people consider child tax credits stimulus checks, but the reason some people don't is because they've been going on for like 23 years, but they were passed from the third stimulus check package. But unemployment income is taxable. It's considered a replacement of your income that you had at the job you lost. So, for example, if you had $16,000 of unemployment income last year, that was what the average person on unemployment made last year. The first $10,200 of that is tax free. And they passed that at the last minute. In fact, the last day when they passed the third stimulus check package, it was negotiated in hours before they passed it. And in fact, when we go back to the second stimulus check, that $600 check, that was negotiated in that package 6 days before they passed it. That package originally started with no stimulus check in there. So that's why we say that the negotiations literally go down to the wire. There's about 20 different stimulus provisions they're working on in the next package, the American Families Plan, which may be combined with the infrastructure package. And we really won't know everything that's in that package until the day they pass it, because we've learned that we've seen this in the past where it was on the third stimulus check package. It actually passed in the House, and then the Senate changed it. In fact, they added in that $10,200 unemployment tax break in after the House passed it. The Senate changed it and lowered the income threshold for the third stimulus check. Then they had to go back to the House and vote on it again, which is what happened. But that extra $10,200 unemployment tax break means the average person will receive an extra $1,000 back from this stimulus provision that was passed from the third stimulus check package. If you're in the 22% tax rate, I've seen some people say they got a $2,200 check back because they're in the 22% tax bracket. So again, that's if you have the full 10,000. If you only made like 5,000 in unemployment income, it's probably going to be about half that. But any income up to $10,200 is tax-free unemployment income. If you made more than that, then basically just the first 10,200 of it is tax-free. Hope that makes it clear. It's probably about as clear as I could make it. But yeah, those checks are still going out right now, only to single filers right now. Married filing jointly and more complex tax returns are expected to get them soon. I will expect them to go out sometime in July. I will keep you updated on that. As well as I might as well also mention that the IRS is so far behind on tax returns that it's literally making some people panic. I get you. I mean, feel free to call the IRS, or after this website, go to Google and type in, where's my IRS refund or where's my tax refund? There's actually an IRS tool to check on your tax refunds, similar to there's a different tool to check on your stimulus check. And yeah, they're still sending out tax returns, and they're also still sending out third stimulus checks, about 1 million a week right now. So if you haven't got either one of those, if your tax return is pulled for manual processing, which like tens of millions of them are right now because of fraud, the IRS estimates that they're catching like 65% of the fraud out there by manually processing these. Yeah, you're looking at like a 3-month wait or more. Yeah, unfortunately. So you either get your tax return and you get your refund back like pretty quickly. You've probably already gotten it, or you're in for like a 3-month wait or more, unfortunately. And that's probably because your tax return was pulled for manual processing. You may have to go through an ID verification. So yeah, just be aware for that. If in doubt, call the IRS on your third stimulus check if you're still missing it, or your tax return if you're still waiting. But be prepared for a probably a lengthy call wait. Next up, the Democrats kind of have themselves in a pickle regarding the next stimulus package and infrastructure package negotiations. Bernie Sanders, who's the Senate budget chairman, probably one of the most advocated people out there for more stimulus for the people, actually says no to Biden and to Joe Manchin, that with no reconciliation bill, there will be no deal, kind of echoing what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said originally. That's yeah, if they don't pass both bills at the same time, the bipartisan bill, the physical infrastructure bill, and pass the next stimulus package, the American Families Plan, in tandem, which would mean the physical infrastructure package bill would be passed by with Republicans and Democrats, and then the next stimulus package would be passed through the reconciliation process, which means that only Democrats will pass it. Well, simply because we just don't expect any Republicans to vote yes on it. Not a single Republican voted yes on the third stimulus check package. So it only makes sense that not a single Republican would vote yes for even more stimulus after the third stimulus check package. But we're in this kind of I would say the Democrats have kind of put themselves in a pickle. I personally think that Nancy Pelosi kind of spoke out on behalf of her Democratic colleagues. We've seen that interview by Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal that said that she kind of had her constituents, her Democratic colleagues vote, and they all voted, or the majority of them voted, that they want to pass them both together or not pass them at all. And then Nancy Pelosi kind of spoke out and said, well, we're not going to pass the infrastructure package until you also pass the reconciliation stimulus package from the Senate. So the Senate has to pass both of them, then send them over to the House, and then the House will vote on both of them. And President Biden's honestly kind of been caught in the middle here. He originally backed Nancy Pelosi and said that, yes, I agree with that. I'm not going to sign the bill, the infrastructure bill, without them passing the second one. And then Republicans are like, what are you talking about? Like, we just made an agreement like yesterday, and you already changed it. In fact, Mitch McConnell says in his interview, 2 hours later, you made this ultimatum that no, we have to pass both of them together. And Republicans aren't even going to pass the stimulus package. Democrats are going to pass that on their own. It's kind of a bizarre situation. In fact, here's what White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has to say when asked about this.
Senator Romney told Jake Tapper that his reading of the president's statement over the weekend was, if the infrastructure bill reaches his desk and it comes alone, he will sign it. Is that an accurate reading of that statement from the president?
The president looks forward to and expects to sign each piece of legislation into law. And he's going to work his heart out, getting both of them across the finish line.
But if if the infrastructure bill arrives and the reconciliation package is not here yet, no one has clarified that, yes, he will sign it. So,
well, again, Caitlin, I know we're quite focused sometimes on process in here, but and hypotheticals. The president's focused on selling this package to the American people, both packages, I should say. That's what he'll be doing tomorrow in Wisconsin, and we'll be working closely with leaders in Congress to move both of these pieces of legislation forward.
Okay, so the White House is not going to say, yes, he will sign the infrastructure bill if it comes alone to his desk.
The president expects to sign each piece of legislation into law.
Yeah, so some people call her Circle Back Psaki. Her name's Jen Psaki, because she used to say, I'll circle back with you a lot. But she's really in a pickle here, too, because the reality of it is, again, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. I consider myself a realist. And if you just kind of look at the situation right now, I really feel like they don't know. It's hard to answer a question that you don't know the answer to, or that President Biden doesn't even know the answer to. I think that if the infrastructure package goes to the president's desk, but the problem is just by itself. The problem with that is Nancy Pelosi would have to let it get voted on the floor. We've seen this so many times from Republican Senator Mitch McConnell when he was Senate Majority Leader. And that's why it was such a major, major thing in January when the Senate changed hands and Mitch McConnell was no longer Senate Majority Leader. That was like the majorest change as opposed to, second to the president changing. Huge, huge implications there because Mitch McConnell would always send bills to what he calls his own words. He calls the Mitch McConnell graveyard, where he would send any type of bill, whether even if Republicans supported it, but he didn't, he would just not let it go to a vote. And we've seen this probably with the biggest example of the $1,400 stimulus check before it was passed by Biden. President Trump, when he was president, wanted to pass those. He said these $600 stimulus checks should be $2,000. Nancy Pelosi said, okay, voted on it, passed it in the House with bipartisan support. Then went to Mitch McConnell and he said no. He said, I'm not even going to let it go to a vote. And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, your own Republican president just said add another $1,400. And Mitch McConnell, literally one person in the whole US, probably prevented 185 million Americans from getting a $1,400 stimulus check there. Literally one person, Mitch McConnell. So that is how you can let me know if you disagree with that. But I mean, eventually President Biden ended up passing those $1,400 anyways. But that was kind of set in motion from President Trump. And if McConnell would have just let that go to a vote, he could have voted no. There was enough votes to get it passed because I remember counting the Republicans. We only needed 10 Republicans to say yes, and there was about 10 or 12 of them. And I think that we would have got 3 stimulus checks then from former President Trump, and then Biden would have came in, and Biden's not going to give us no stimulus checks. He would have then probably passed one already too, and we would have had 4 stimulus checks already and probably been working on the 5th one. So that's why whoever's in charge of the House or the Senate, which is now the Democrats in both cases, Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker, and Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, those guys are so powerful, man, just like Mitch McConnell used to be, because if they don't want to put something to a vote, they don't have to, whether the president wants them to or not. And we've seen that exact example with Trump and McConnell, okay? So Nancy Pelosi might similarly be doing this to President Biden. Again, they don't have to listen to anybody. When you're in charge of the House or you're in charge of the Senate, these guys, they get big heads, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. And a lot of times they do whatever they want. Okay, so this is what Nancy Pelosi's her last statement, unless she changes her mind, is that she's not going to put that bill to a vote. She's just going to put it on her desk and slide it into a drawer that basically says, we'll vote on later, right? And later could mean never, okay? But what she's saying is when they go to pass this infrastructure package, because they're probably going to vote on that first, I would assume, they'll pass the infrastructure package, hopefully with Republican support. If not, they'll have to combine the 2 packages and pass a much larger package, Democrat only, which they can do, but then you run that risk of what they're really threading the needle here, okay? When they go too large, they spend too much money. They lose moderate. Well, first of all, they lose Republican votes, so that bipartisan, bill goes out the window. Then they have to pass it with Democrat only through the reconciliation process. If they go too large, you lose people like Senator Joe Manchin. And we've seen that with the $15 an hour minimum wage provision they tried to pass as well. It was really just the minimum wage was too much because they only got 42 votes. They voted on it in the Senate. They were actually going to bypass the Senate parliamentarians' decision. They voted on it in the Senate anyways because Chuck Schumer was the Senate majority. If that was Mitch McConnell, they would have never even let it go to a vote, right? But only 42 Democrats voted yes on it. They needed those 50 votes. 8 Democrats actually thought that the minimum wage raise of $15 an hour was too much. Remember, right now it's just $7.25, and that's for 40% of the United States. The other states have already risen their minimum wage to varying levels between $7.25 and $15 an hour. But the states that are $15 an hour, like Florida, they're like a step-up minimum wage, which is how it would have been for the country as well. They go up by like $1 or $2, and they get to $15 an hour by 2026. Okay, so they're not really at $15 an hour now. That's how the federal bill was as well. It takes several years. It goes up by about $1 or $2 per year. I do expect a minimum wage raise to happen probably after this package. It's not going to happen before this package. They're trying to let nothing get in the way of these two packages. There's enough in the way to pass these two packages. They really got to thread the needle. They can't go too high. They can't go too low. If they go too low, you actually lose Democratic votes. A lot of the progressives want large, they want more, they want bigger stimulus checks, they want Social Security raises, Medicare expansion. They want to spend $6 trillion on these two packages. And on a counterpoint, you have Republicans saying, "Are you crazy? You want to spend $6 trillion? Like, you guys are loony." And then you even have some Democrats like Joe Manchin that are like, $6 trillion is a lot of money. He'd probably not go for $6 trillion either, but he might go for $4 trillion. Okay, that's with the two packages combined. And honestly, I think there's some smart cookies on the Democrat and Republican side. I feel like, yeah, they know that $6 trillion is not going to pass, but they'll start high, so they give themselves plenty of money to come down. If they start at $4 trillion, then they're going to end up at like 2 or 3, right? So if they're like start at 6, if they have to pass some together, and then they can come down to around 4, which is what they want, anyways. Either way, that will leave plenty of money left over for a forced stimulus check or the monthly recurring stimulus checks that so many Democrats are pushing for. In addition to that, the child tax credits, which are basically monthly stimulus checks or monthly checks from the government, whatever you want to call them, that are starting in about 2 weeks of $250 to $300 per month per child. I'll link you to a video I just did on that recently if you have children and want to know more money or know more information about that. Yeah, you're going to know more money about that too soon. But yeah, the Democrats want to pass a lot in this next package. So I will keep you up to date as well as the negotiations with the Republicans. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. It doesn't cost you anything. And remember that new videos come out here on our channel at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. This bottom video is about the child tax credit monthly checks coming out. And this video over here is about President Biden's Social Security increase. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.